Hello StarCraft fans, this is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. This is a rematch between Bomber and Happy here on Dusk Towers. This is from DreamHack, and this is the second game of a series between these two players. The first game was very interesting, and there's a lot of back and forth. I'll go ahead and link to it up in the right corner right here, so go back and watch it if you haven't seen it already. And let's get right on into it. On the top side of Dusk Towers, we have the red Terran player. It is Happy. This is the Russian player Happy. This is not the South Korean Happy who retired a couple of years ago. Just keep that in mind. This again is a Russian version of our Happy. And in the bottom side of Dusk Towers, we have the blue Terran player. It is Bomber. Again, everybody knows Bomber. Everybody loves Bomber. Some of his replays are the most popular on my channel to this point. Right up there with the White Raws and the TLOs and the Pucks and the Railguns of the world. Both players pretty identical builds right now, going for the refinery into a barracks, getting workers, and basically what this means is going to be a Reaper expand for both of these guys. There's really no reason to get gas this early and the timing on your barracks to be this unless you're going to get a Reaper. And I've had people prove me wrong before. I've seen this exact opening turning to Marines. So I don't watch these games before I cast them. I think some other people in the past have, and so they're always right when they call stuff. And either they're a lot smarter than me, or they watch the games in advance and look like geniuses in that way. But yes, both Reapers coming on out. Both players getting an orbital command, checking with a drone scout, or actually an SCV scout is Happy, saying, ah, you're going to throw it on the command center here. I am too, but I'm here to harass you. Gonna try to kill this SCV. A way to actually do this if you're trying to kill an SCV is to right click on it and then shift right click a bunch of times. And that way, for whatever reason, it means that your worker is going to continue to attack that SCV till the end of time. Oop, this guy though doesn't want to keep doing that because it only has 5 hit points left. One more shot from an SCV will kill it, and it does. The SCV exploding. Factory under construction by a Bomber. Happy not doing any such thing, actually making another Reaper here. Reaper heading on out for Bomber, Reaper heading on out for Happy. Not quite reached their opponent's bases yet. And what's it going to be here? Reaper versus Reaper action, it looks like it is. Happy's Reaper going to try to kill this Marine, should be able to. The KD8 charge knocking the Marine back, does get the kill. SCV is being pulled off the line to deal with it. And Reaper versus Reaper here. Happy actually prepared for the Reaper, comes out with a Reaper of his own. Going to hop on up to the high ground once again. Is Happy's Reaper. For some reason, trying to kill a supply depot, I don't think that's the best use of its time. I mean, he's got his little guns there, and he's like, pew pew, pew pew, pew pew. KD8 charge, knocking the Marine again. That's awesome. There's actually an icon. Whoa, somebody down there died. KD8 charge again, and knocking that Marine forward, and it does end up getting killed. Almost. No, it doesn't survive. It survives with a single hit point remaining. Move, burning that Reaper to the ground. Hopping on up and does kill the Marine and get an SCV. Okay, that was a weird location for that KD8 charge, but whatevs. Hopping up once again to this place that is pretty much secure unless the Reaper wants to, the Hellion wants to run around and kill it, and the Hellion does. Oh, Bomber. Whoa! Get out of there, Reaper. One more shot. You is dead. Ugh! 1 hit point left. It was close. Oh, second Hellion comes in, and that's the end of that Reaper. I don't think any players have really lost much there. A Marine did die. A couple SCVs died. I feel like Happy handled that a little bit better than Bomber did, but Bomber's actually up in total supply right now. And again, we're going with basically a 1-1-1 build, a factory into a starport here for Bomber, and Happy doing the same thing with the starport. Where's his factory? There it is down there. Hellions on the way. Third command center under construction, and a third command center for Bomber. No, Bomber might just be sticking here on to base. He's going to try to do some aggression where Happy seems to be happy. Happy seems to be happy to sit back and just macro up. Yes, yes indeed. And get Hellions. Hellions are very important. And a Viking. Oh, Vikings can be good against drops here. What's in this? 3 Hellions and 2 Marines. Going to try to drop this base. There's not much here to defend against that. There's a supply depot to prevent the run-by of the Hellions back there behind the mineral line, but that's about it. Bomber moving in with his very sneaky medevacs. He has a boost available. Is he going to boost in? No, he's just going to land in and going to try to trap a lot of these SCVs. They run for their lives. Hellions of Happy's respond, though, and force a retreat. But there's a Viking getting some shots off, using the range on that Viking to force a full retreat from Bomber's medevac. You don't want to be there. It's really difficult to do consistent drops when your opponent has a lot of anti-air, or even just a little anti-air. It can be a problem if there's a lot of range, especially from something like a Viking. Continuing to macro up, there are some Hellions running to make sure there's not a third base up and running already for Bomber, and there's not. Free SCV trying to burn down these buildings, but they think they burn better than this, but they really don't. Hellions only really doing most of their damage to light units, which do not include buildings. Buildings are not light. Light things are things like workers and marines and zerglings and zealots and things like that. Siege tank is here for defense as well, and a siege tank also coming up for Happy. So both players look like they're doing about the same thing, although there's a Raven mixed in for Happy. Hey, Terran players that like Ravens, here's one. Here's one for you. Third base being planted by Happy, making sure that Bomber's not throwing down a third of his own. Happy's got to be feeling pretty good right now. He went ahead and dealt with that drop play from Bomber. He got a third base before his Korean opponent, and a command center is now coming up for Bomber, but it seems a little bit late. It really, really does. Happy should really take advantage of this. More and more medevacs coming out here. Going to be Marine tank, a single Viking, a Raven. Which can I like? Just for the detection, just for the point defense drone abilities. A Hunter Seeker can be pretty good as well, and auto turrets. Also fantastic. Shrapnel cells. I didn't know this existed. Increases the damage of Raven, auto turrets, and Seeker missiles by 30%. I don't think I've ever seen that researched before at a tech lab on a starport. So what do you know? Hellions chasing a Marauder away. Single Marauder wants to kill these. Not quite able to do it. And losing Marines in the process. The healing is enough to keep up with the DPS there against a single Marauder because it is not a light unit. It looks like the command center should be lifted off and landed here. Might be turned into an orbital command first, and it is. There's that orbital command upgrade. Hellions swinging around, just trying to hold map control, but a big push here from Bomber. Hellions, Marines, Marauders. Hellion versus Hellion action here. Does manage to kill one of Happy's that was already pretty much low on health as we zoom a little bit out. Losing another Hellion. The Hellion count getting fairly low for both of these players, and whoa, all of these Hellions very low on hit points, and they all get destroyed. But again, there are tanks up here. There are two tanks, two more in the air from these medevacs, and I just don't think this is somewhere that Bomber wants to go. Oh man, is he gonna go up here anyway? Be so careful. Auto turrets being deployed. Single auto turret, rather. Is it gonna expire already? Whoa, the duration on auto turret's been changed, man. 7 seconds. No wonder I don't see those anymore. Those used to be like 45, 50 seconds, it felt like. Man, they really nerfed the Raven. No wonder they don't exist anymore. Alright, good to know. Learn something new every single day. Armory on the way for Bomber. Viking here, swinging around the right side, trying to find a place to drop. However, the sensor tower makes it a little bit difficult to do this. Because if you're inside this circle, you can be seen. See how that worked out? The sensor tower circle here for Happy allows him to see units. They're going to try to sneak up around this right side. It's well placed. It is extraordinarily well placed. Staying just outside the range of that, though. The missile turret trying to kill a single medevac, and it does kill a medevac here, but units trying to roll on in. Raven throwing down, I don't know what, PDD, but ends up getting destroyed by all of these Marines. This is a massively damaging drop right now for Bomber, killing buildings. Nothing seems to be able to do with this. More units rallying across the map here as well. Tanks trying to get in good position here for Happy, trying to land and fire. Nothing really helping to defend these tanks. They do end up dead. The Marines, however, are still very scary. +1/+1 Marines. Units up here trying to kill this base at the same time. Reinforcing Marines and tanks. Happy trying to deal with this is not going to happen. He's going to go ahead and lose that third base. Picking up and lifting out there was a Bomber. Excellent. Excellent play. And as I was saying, tanks here in a defensive position, trying to rain down fire from the high ground, but definitely going to lose that refinery. Coming back on in. Not a good decision by Bomber. He loses one of the medevacs. Everybody on the ground ends up dead as well, except the one that does get evacuated by this medevac. And I think Bomber might be happy enough to head on back home. He has his third base. He has a fourth base coming up as well. Losing this entirely was Happy. The command center is still alive. the orbital command, rather, is going to go ahead and lift up and try to land down here to replace the third. Bomber actually pulling back on the gas a little bit, which surprises me. So right now it's 143 to 100 total supply. Army supply is at 78 to 59 in favor of Bomber. I don't think that's an insurmountable lead, but again, worker supply here 65 to 43. Bomber economically in the lead, militarily in the lead. Another sensor tower under construction there. Actually, nope, that was Bomber's sensor tower. I'm going to try to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to him. Because as I was saying, the sensor tower placement here was good. It prevented the drops along this right side, but it didn't do much about drops up here. And Bomber took advantage. I think Bomber, or Happy rather, was feeling rather content being able to see what was going on, protecting two of his bases, but did not pay attention to the main base. I think he lost a factory there. He lost a whole ton of workers. Again, at this point, it is 65 to 47 total workers. Bomber absolutely in the lead. Is he going to try to take another base here too? Another sensor tower up. So useful in this matchup, especially where the tank drops can be a massive problem. Replacement sensor tower coming up for Happy. Still not doing much in defending this area. No missile turrets, no sensor tower, no Marines at all. I think he might just be conceding a drop up here in the main base, which would be an interesting choice, but Marine scouting things out. This base now up and running. But again, a fourth base has been running for quite a while here for Bomber. He doesn't even make this an orbital command. What is that? Spending his money so well, but not choosing to spend 150 minerals and changing this to the orbital with the ability to do mules and whatnot. Pulling back once again is Bomber with a lot of Marines. +1, +2 on the Marines here. +1 for Happy, not too far behind. And just kind of dancing back and forth here. Is he patrolling? I don't know what he's doing. Marine versus Marine, and Happy does end up dead because he does not have the upgrade advantage. In fact, it is an upgraded disadvantage. And Marines pulling in once again for Bomber. Gonna try to kill individual Marines that they can find. Kind of stimming to kill a single Marine. Seems like a waste of energy. Another base coming up for Bomber. Fifth base now on the way. Happy trying to make this happen. Tanks on the high ground. Splash damage on all of these Marines. But the Marines for Happy are melting at the same time. However, enough of them do manage to survive to burn through the attack here and force Bomber on home. So this is a bit of what we saw in the previous game between these two players. Happy in defensive positions is pretty good. I don't know if he's cost efficient with his engagements, but he's able to hold Bomber off to the point that Bomber needs to run away. And so again, I'm not sure if this is Bomber's master plan to kind of whittle down the attacking units here of Happy, but hold that thought. Marines do pick off a medevac there. Landing here, not that great for Happy. He wants to land in kind of range of a command center or an orbital command that he can kill. Landing back here doesn't help him very much. He needs to pull even with Bomber. +3/+3 on the way for Happy. And landing the tanks where he can. The tanks are now here. They are fully in range of this planetary fortress, and a full evacuation for Bomber. He doesn't want to handle this. And the planetary fortress is going to fall. +1 attack on these tanks, 55 damage versus armored, which is what command centers are. And planetary fortresses, in case you were wondering. He does have this space, though. Bomber is able to send 20 of his SCVs up here to this particular soon-to-be planetary fortress. He is not making orbital commands anymore. Not sure if that's a mistake or not, but +3 attack now on the way for these Marines. +2/+2 again, already researched for Bomber. So right now, Army supply 121 to 105 in favor of Bomber. 65 to 56 right now. Happy's starting to catch back up. I don't know if you want to land here, though. It seems like a bad place to expand, just because this high ground causes you trouble. That's exactly what Happy did on this side of the map, was land here and just crush that PF. Landing over here seems a little bit safer. There's not an easy place to land and harass for your opponent's tanks, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to cover just because it's so far away from these other three bases. Whereas this location seems a little bit more nestled in, more tucked away, which I think was the intent of the map designer of Dusk Towers. So here it is, a 199 out of 200 supply army heading right on up here is a Bomber. Going for another killing blow. He's going to catch Happy out of position here, though, and dodging away, boosting away with his Marines, trying to get a split up. Both players kind of deciding what angle of attack they want to take. Another shot on top of a bunch of Marines. I bet they hate it when that happens. Going to land a few tanks here, try to lock down this orbital command. I like that play, but heading north at the speed of stim is Bomber. Running his Marines through this little narrow neck here. He's going to lose his tanks, though. Stimming forward, going to try to get the tanks before the Marines come to respond, and able to do it, able to kill all of those Marines, but these Marines are still alive. This tank is not even in siege mode. It does end up dead, stimming forward with naught but Marines and medevacs. A little bit overstimmed here for Bomber, but if he can kill this command center, and immediately the orbital command does end up falling. A lot of the SCVs dying as well, but picking up and sparing their lives there is Bomber. This is still under assault. Aaron, if it moved a little bit closer, be a more effective one. But dropping all these Marines back here at the natural base, trying to kill so many SCVs. The tank splash damage is a little bit terrible, though. And again, forced to pick up once more here is Bomber, flying his medevacs away. There are 2 tanks sitting here, not doing much of anything whatsoever. Landing a Marine so close to the tanks. And look at this, they're not close enough to actually attack at the range. It's within their siege mode radius. And gets another tank up to 2 kills. Going to get 3 kills all by its lonesome. And flying on in, does find this base. Nobody actually in these medevacs, though, to go home. Flying in here, trying to land and kill supply depots. Again, tanks are in pretty good position, though. The Marines run right on in, and they do burn down both of the medevacs. These Marines are on a suicide mission, and they are completely cleaned up. So, again, Bomber was withstood temporarily, but he has another army ready to go. It is 138 to 97 total army supply right now. 53 to 42 harvesters in favor of our Korean player. The Russian, again, holding on for his life. Tank count is 12 versus 12. 37 Marines to 75 Marines for Bomber. Tanks landing into position to try to kill what they can. Bomber dodging it very nimbly with a lot of agility. Marine runs on in to try to kill his mortal enemies and does not succeed in his mission. He does not. Tanks deploying in defensive positions here. Doesn't want to walk into that sensor scan circle. +3 infantry armor on the way for a Bomber, as well as Terran vehicle and ship plating. Level 1. So he kind of wants to make his tanks a little bit tankier. Haha. A little bit tankier. I am hilarious. Am I not hilarious? This base is still running, and yeah, I was going to say, Bomber should expand pretty soon. He does take this gold base. Landing his command center in there? I don't know. Again, tank splash on a lot more of these Marines. A big attack here. Can Happy pull it off? No. He's forced to retreat to the safety of his tanks. More and more Marines dying from Bomber, but he still has, let's take a look, 54 left. 54 Marines available. Scouting medevac is destroyed and thrown backwards in a heaping wreckage. Vikings providing some cover. If a Viking is spotting for a tank, it can shoot farther than it can normally if there's not one spotting there. So that's exactly what this Viking is for. The Marines want to kill them, and they do. Nicely done by Happy. And I think if a Marine runs inside that minimum range for the siege tank, it probably could kill it because it was abandoned with the rest of its army. Running on up does kill a Marine, but was spotted by the Marine. Boosting on in, trying to go once again for these bases, dropping the tanks. Marines running right on in. But the Marines for Bomber, there are just too many of them. All the tanks get cleaned right on up that. It was a complete massacre in favor of Bomber, and that's it. Happy calls the GG. Happy is defeated and Bomber is victorious. Happy has left the game. Woo! Great back and forth action. Again, I feel like that was a bit of a replay from the previous match. Happy was good in defensive positions, but I think he just lost too much. He couldn't keep up with this macro of Bomber. Bomber showing again why he is one of the best Terrans on planet Earth right now, and has been for a while. APM for these players, 224 to 267 overall for the entirety of this game. But yeah, pretty fantastic play again. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter and Facebook, both at /FalconPaladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.